The EV tax credit is back. And is it passed? Well, no. Is it up for conversation? Absolutely. Let's get into exactly what I mean in this EV tax credit update. So if you were unaware, in December of 2021, last year, the House and Senate of Congress were talking about the Build Back Better plan, which, long story short, got nixed and did not pass. Now, Biden's infrastructure plan did get passed, but now we're moving on to the EV tax credit, which is a part of the Build Back Better plan. And conversations between the House and Senate failed, and this did not pass for a January 1 effective date. So that was the goal, January 1st, and now we're into February and it clearly has not passed. And what were you going to get and what are the latest updates? Well, we were supposed to get, and this is going to be a brief overview, and if you want to skip ahead, check out the links in the description for those timestamps to skip ahead or rewatch parts of the video. But we were supposed to get $7,500 back if you purchase a Tesla this year. And right now, that does not seem to be a possibility until recently when Joe Manchin and President Joe Biden recently brought up the climate bill portion of the Build Back Better plan. So the $7,500 was supposed to come back to you at the time of tax filing for 2022. So what does that mean is you would get this $7,500 credit essentially in 2023 come February, March, April time when you file your taxes. And then later on in 2023, it would be a point of sale credit. So you get that money immediately. But we're just gonna go over that real quick and move on. What has changed? The latest conversations just happened. So we're just going to cut right to it. Joe Manchin, a senator of West Virginia, has opposed this bill portion because of the inflation, because of government spending since December. But recently, he has said that the conversations, while the Build Back Better plan, it's a $1 trillion plan, is dead. That is his words recently. That plan is dead. However, he would be open to talking about chunks of the plan passing. So if they carve out the climate portion of the bill, which includes the EV tax credit, that is on the table. So the Biden administration really does need every single vote on the Senate floor. That's where a lot of the opposition happens for the bill to have this thing pass. So there's two senators. I mentioned Joe Manchin and also Kyrsten Sinema from Arizona. So Kyrsten has been also opposed to this bill, but what also is the latest? Well, just last week, like we said, Joe Manchin has confirmed that the overall package of the bill is dead, but then went on to say, when asked to elaborate on the possibility of supporting a smaller package, he did say, we'll see what happens. We'll see what people come up with. I don't know. So that might not sound like resounding good news, but Senator Manchin then went on to say that he'd be open to starting from scratch, and he's open to talking to everybody like he always had in this conversation. He said just last week that as far as the Build Back Better plan's future, there's not been any formal, basically sit-down meetings or that sort of thing. He then said I'm open to talk to everybody. I always have. I just want to make sure we find a balance and something we can afford and do it right. And whatever we do, we want to make sure it's done right. So conversations are at least welcomed from Senator Manchin, and he is open to starting from scratch. Now, if this was not on the table, he would say, I'm absolutely opposed to meeting or talking about it. We need to focus on other items. He did mention, again, inflation and spending, but we'll see. This is positive movement, at least as far as the government goes, being open to talks about it. So we'll have to pay a close eye on this to see if it's going to be something this year that may be retroactive to January 1st. So if you purchase a Tesla, let's say in January 10th or sometime in February, would it be retroactive and counted towards that $7,500? Well, that's a lot of speculation. We're going to have to see how that bill is written or rewritten to see who it would include. So an update from the Biden administration just earlier this month, the Biden administration said they'd likely have to break up the plan to invest in social programs and climate policy, and that he believes he can win support for this. So essentially the Biden administration sees this as moving forward in chunks and possibly evaluating and passing this like that. The president says, "I'm confident we can get pieces, big chunks of the Build Back Better law signed into law." The president then goes on to say, "So I think we can break the package up, get as much as we can now, and come back and fight for the rest of it." So that just happened last week. So obviously this is on the minds of the Biden administration and the senators in this House and the Senate. So we'll have to see how this shakes out and follow up from there. So the only way we know if this is going to pass is to keep a close eye on it. And the only way I know that you like this content is to drop a like and consider subscribing to get those updates and more Tesla reviews. Again, this is Matt from Frunk to Trunk. We will see you in the next one.